on digital radio, on the app, on your smart speaker, on Twitter, YouTube, Twitch.tv, and Facebook. The Sportscast. Expect the unexpected.
The Jersey Boys Sports Talk presented by The Sportscast.
The Jersey Boys Sports Talk with Victor Arocho and Byron Jones. And here's your host, Victor Arocho.
Let's get it on. The schedules came out. We got about 120 days or 130 something days left for the NFL season to start. We're getting really excited. So let's get it on. Live out of Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Welcome to the Jersey Boys Sports Talk. Hosted by Byron Jones and Victor Arocho. Brought to you by The Sportscast. Today is May 15th. 2025. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to Sportscast on all our channels, YouTube, X, Spotify, and iTunes. Excuse me. You can also find this on your favorite streaming podcast. Look up for the Jersey Boys Sports Talk. Please leave a review and a rating. It'll help us out tremendously. And if you like what you hear today, please smash that YouTube button, get the notifications so you can hear our shows as we continue going out throughout the NFL season and through the preseason. We are streaming live every week at Thursday, 8 a.m. on Facebook and YouTube. Let's get on. Mr. Byron Jones, how are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful with a foot of water in my backyard.
Let me see what your name is today. Monmouth College Giant fan. Why is it Monmouth College Giants fan? What's up with that?
You know, see, you're a youngster, man. That's where I first met Brad Van Pelt when the New York Giants, for a couple of seasons, did their pre-camp, their summer camp was at Monmouth College in West Long Branch.
Yeah, but remember, Monmouth College autograph. Also, let's make sure. Welcome to our show, our producer and owner of the Sportscast, Mr. Santiago Leon. How are you today?
Doing good, Vic. Byron, good to see you guys both. Fresh NFL schedule release. It's unbelievable how NFL made a big deal about it.
Well, we got some interesting pieces on the NFL piece. But Byron, back then, Monmouth College didn't even have a football team. So I don't even know how they practice there. How do they have a football field? They didn't even have a football team. They're actually pretty good right now.
Yeah, no, they have where
soccer, probably soccer.
Yeah, but
Soccer.
No, it was a regular football field because it was behind, where they had 2 or 3 buildings back then. So
they didn't have
on the back side over there where Oh, yeah, I know, but I'm just saying that's where the Giants
think Liberty played against
back
them
in the early '70s.
Yeah, but you're young. When he was talking about back when he met this Brad Van Pelt, they didn't have a football team. They have a football team now. They're actually pretty good. I probably would have went there, but anyhow, all right. We also have a special guest today. We'd like to bring him to the show. We got Bigvlueant, an avid Giant fan. And he's got some nice news coming up at the end of the show about what he's got going on at the end of the year. Bigvlueant, welcome to the Jersey Boys Sports Talk. How you doing? I like the hat.
Good. What's going on, fellas? How you doing?
I like the hat. I like the color. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. All righty. So let's get it on. All right. So we got Mr. Santiago always sets it up for me. All right. So he's give me instructions. Read the banners. All right, so we got
podcast listeners.
Okay, so we got the Giants release their schedule. So Santiago, you got their schedule you can bring up because
I got the schedule pulled up right there. Let me remove the banner.
You got to remove the banner because you can't see. All right, so let's see, make sure anybody's in the comments. So forget there. All right. So what do we got here? So I'm assuming Blue is home, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we got Washington. Wow. This is the first time in several years, right, Byron, that we're playing division, because the last couple of years we've been playing our division at the end of the year and back to back to back. You know what I mean? We play the Eagles in every other week. It was ridiculous. So this is going to be interesting because playing early in the season against division components, they're not at their best. So hopefully it gives us some prayer, right? We got the Commanders which is the Cowboys. Then the Chiefs,
Home
the
opener,
Chargers,
Chiefs, prime
the
time,
Saints,
Sunday Night
Eagles.
Football.
I can't see that last one. Broncos. Oh. All right, Byron and Big Blue Ant. I'm gonna let you guys go. I'm gonna let you guys go. Win or loss, right? And then Santiago, we can mark this down. What we think the record's gonna be. All right. So let's
wait
go.
a minute. Wait. I'm gonna we're gonna start off with this. I got lambasted when I said what I said about the schedule, how the Giants would have been do. So I just want to start off with that because my number's kind of low. So I just want you to know ahead of time. But I got lit up by
time out. Remember, on one of our shows, we said, "What do we think the under over is 4 or 5?" Right? And we had said, it was over 4, maybe 5. So
I think Vegas has it at 5.5 right now.
And that was early on. They had it under that, right? So since I guess some of the picks or whatever, it's changed, but Vegas has it at 5, right? So us stating that, one thing about us, Bigvlueant, is that one, and hopefully you're the same. Giant fans, we're very objective, right? We're not going to blow smoke. So I've been on shows where they've asked me like, who do I think is going to win this weekend against the Giants, and I pick the other team. They're like, oh my God, I can't believe you're picking another team. Well, the other team's a better team, right?
I've been told I'm pretty negative. I call it up front.
That's then you and Byron will be good. You Byron to get away. I'm objective, right? Except for during the season. Look, how I always we'll get into that. I'm going off on a tangent, but just real quick, I'm objective, except for the years that the NFC East, which was just a few years ago, NFC East was the worst, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody. So I had, for me, I figured, if they're the worst, then the Giants got a shot, right? Because they were all bad. Right. But as the two, as the Eagles and the Washington started getting better, then it starts changing the game, right? But at the end of the day, we still have the NFC East still has the most Super Bowls, right? Of anyone. Every division, everybody in the division has won a Super Bowl. So, and then nobody has won the division in 20 years back to back. Right. So, you got 1 in 4 shot. Okay, so let's bring that up real quick. I apologize. I should have told you to go off that. All right, Commanders. Let's go. Win or loss? Big Blue Ant, I'll let you go first.
I got a loss there.
Byron?
Loss.
I'll mark this down. Hold on a second. Loss.
Yeah, because I'll deny it later on, just so you know ahead of time.
Okay, record this. Let's see. What time is it right now? It's 8:20. 8:20. So stamp it at 8:20 because I'm going to catch the show. 8:20 Byron. Okay. So we got loss. We got wins. I got it so bad that I was putting L and W versus L. So we got one. Okay. Cowboys. Byron.
Loss.
Santiago. All right, let's just because if anybody changes this, go Cowboys loss, Chiefs
loss.
Anybody agree? Say win, loss.
I got to win against the Cowboys.
Okay.
Why is that, Big Blue?
I don't. So over the last few years, I don't think the Cowboys have been really up to par. I just think that the Giants have been caught less than up to par. So the fact that what I believe the Giants had gotten better in this offseason, and I'm not just talking about the draft because let's face facts here, the draft isn't going to spell itself out till, week 2, 3, see how these guys do, see what they're going to be. So for me, I think we're at this point a step above the Cowboys. So I think, we're going to take that one in Dallas.
And look, and look, you give some argument too. Didn't we lose to them like by 2 points? I mean, it was like 42-40 with like zero quarterback, right? Without Saquon, right? And without Malik Neighbors. Right. So now we got some at least quarterbacks. So I could see that, especially early in the season, because Byron, what's the argument that we have a lot of times with people on our thing? We want to take this off for a second, Santiago. What do we have argument a lot of time or debate a lot of time is it's they don't play a lot of preseason, so really they're not up to snuff in the beginning of the year. How many years for the last couple of years we've been saying that, right? And because they're not playing enough preseason games, so by the time they come in, it's almost like the first couple games are preseason games, right?
That's
so
how I take it.
and I think anytime you play the division, you usually play up. You know what I mean? So you never know what could happen. So I could see that possibly happen. All right, Santino, let's get up that schedule. All right, awesome. Okay, we got Chiefs. Anybody got a win there?
No.
All right,
We got a lot of
Chargers.
primetime games this year.
Chargers. Okay,
That's
man,
winnable.
I think the Chargers. I think the Giants will take that one.
You think the Chargers are winnable? Okay, what about you, Byron?
Nope. No,
Yeah, the Chargers are a good team, and with Harbaugh, I mean, and they got
Harbaugh. They're going to come in there. Mr. Harbaugh's going to come in there. They're going to run the ball in the Giants. If we don't fix it, if the defensive line is not fixed, and just having Dexter Lawrence as the guy, and he doesn't have any help, they're going to come in there and they're going to run the ball the way Harbaugh wants to run the ball on the Giants.
Let's hope that Abdul Carter does something and Thibodeau steps up, right? So, okay, possibly winnable game. The Saints.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you guys off.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
In counter to that a little bit, if you consider, Darius Alexander, who was touted to be a, top of the second round, and the Giants grabbed him, which I thought was a steal. If he can get up there, he'd be good. And then you got Golston that the Giants just picked up from the Cowboys too. I think the Giants line is going to be much, much improved. Not saying they're going to be great, but with the defense, again, what they got in the offseason, I think they're going to help each other. I think our defense is going to be our strong point this year.
I'll take improved. First of all, I'll take improved, one, and two. All our Super Bowls we won because we've had good defenses.
Yeah, but the problem is that you got Dexter Lawrence along the line. And we saw it the last 2 years, when he comes out, it's a big drop when he's not in there. And hopefully, that these guys that they signed are going to step up their game. But when he's out, that's when people, they get to 5 and they run for 6 yards, and it's crazy when he's out the game.
Would they load up this offseason? Hiring, like they had like one guy from the Dolphins come in and a few other people, right?
Mm-hmm. They did. But my problem is just that it's Dexter Lawrence. We saw all last year with him when he was in the game. They hung in there. But as soon as he came out, the team up. Dexter's out. Let's run the ball, and that happened all year like that.
That was the wrap.
Okay, Broncos. Well, let's just go over the schedule because it'll take too long if we go through all the Broncos. Is going to be a tough game. I mean, we have a tough schedule. Our beginning schedule is tough.
Broncos, the Giants have the second most toughest schedule of the whole league.
I mean, the way they just played this was is crazy, right? Because when we see some of the other ones, I wonder why. I mean, they didn't like. How can someone with such a bad record have such a difficult schedule? You got the Eagles, you got the 49ers. The 49ers, we don't know where they're going to be like this year, right?
They're weaker.
They're rebuilding, so you never know what happens there. The Bears, I think you always got a chance of beating the Bears.
New coach.
The Packers they're a good team. Detroit is going to be good again this year. Patriots, I think that's a winnable.
That's winnable
game. Commanders, by that time in the season, is going to be tough. The Vikings, I think we'll see what happens. If
it can be winnable.
Well, yes and no, because if
new QB,
if that system continues the way it's going and McCarthy's there, right? Those guys put up points. Like the Vikings have been putting up points. You just haven't been doing well in the playoffs, right? Raiders are winnable, and then the Cowboys at the end of the year. Let's see what happens. Are we playing on Thanksgiving again this year?
No.
No.
They got the Cowboys and the Chiefs this year.
Huge.
Oh, that's a good game.
That's gonna be ratings.
I would enjoy my turkey to see them get blown out. All right. Let's bring. Yeah.
Wait. And then week 13 is the bye week, right? I think it's 13, right?
Yeah.
14 is the bye week after the Patriots before the Commanders.
This is where I got beat down with messing around with this Giant fan. I'm a real Giant fan, but when I sit there and said that basically that they will probably be out of job, by that week 14, they're gonna fire him. or both of them might be gone, and that's when the Jackson Dart air is going to begin, right around there. But yeah, I got both of them getting fired. They suck. And they're awful up to that week. They're both gone.
I think by November he'll start Dart.
Well,
Dart.
up to that week, we got him winning two or three games. I mean, damn, like I mean, 5 is a stretch right now based on what I'm seeing in the schedule.
My feeling is if these guys can keep the games close, win or loss, especially considering that Brian Daboll technically finally got his guy. If they can keep the games close and they only win 4 or 5 games, I kind of see John Mara bringing him back again next year.
Okay, so let's talk about that, right? Let's talk about that. Daboll got his guy, which would be Dart, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. The challenge is though, and this is the narrative. I want everybody's opinion on this, right? You have a great point that Daboll's got his guy. The problem is, when is his guy gonna play? Right? That's the problem, because you don't get Russell Wilson and Winston, right, to get this Dart in right away. Winston didn't go there to say, hey, I'm going to be third string, right? I understand I'm going to play my role, I'm this and that. And look, Winston can look the best of anyone and then the worst of anyone, right? I mean, I feel bad for the guy because, he always talks about, man, I got to fix it, dude. Well, you haven't fixed it the entire time you were in the season. You went 30-30, right? So let's bring that up. I mean, how does Daboll have his guy and then keep his job without getting his guy in early? What are they saying? Let's wait for next year. So go ahead. You started that Bigvlueant.
I think that's a big part of it. I mean, John Mara made it clear last year that he's tired of the losing. But the fact that if you look at the way the draft went down, I truly believe in my heart of hearts that over the last 5 to 6 years, that somehow, it hasn't been proven, that John Mara had a hand in a couple of the Giants' drafts. And owners get like that. We all know Jerry Jones gets like that. My thing is I agree with him. I'm tired of the losing. But if you're giving your coach the carte blanche to get your guy, and you get them, and that you just signed Russell Wilson, you just signed Jameis Winston, you brought in your rookie now. There's got to be a thought in his mind that if we can manage five wins, even just take a baby step forward, right, and we get 5 wins, I don't think it's going to weigh heavy on him as, all right, I got to get rid of these guys. Especially if the other draft picks, Carter, Alexander, Scatterbo, if them guys turn out to be great or even good for that matter, you got Joe Shane with 2 legitimate good draft results. And that's the kind of stuff you want out of your GM. So if we can get that rolling with the Giants and, John Mara sees this, I truly believe that Daboll and Shane will be back next year.
Okay. Byron?
I hate being that guy right now. But anyway, I'm gonna be that guy.
Just be the guy. You are who you are. You are who you are. All right.
Be you, Byron.
Yeah, I know.
Take this down. Go ahead. I want to see everybody's faces. Go ahead.
Especially
Byron's.
The first draft that he had, when he drafted Thibodeau and he drafted Neal. Right now, Neal is a bust. He flat out. He's bad. I never thought an Alabama guy would come out and look like that the way he's looked.
I agree.
He was supposed to come in and fix the right side. This dude can't play right tackle in the NFL. He's 6'7", 340 pounds or whatever he is. And when I watched him play at Alabama, the best position that he had was guard. He's a guard in the NFL. He doesn't have the speed to play there. So then let's get Mr. Thibodeau. He gets sacks when they just when they really don't matter. And a lot of the ones they just don't matter. And for a person, a guy that was taken as high as he was, you would expect a little bit more. He's been hurt, a little nicked up or whatever, but being drafted that high, he's supposed to be the guy, as far as defensive end. So when you match him, well, outside linebacker, but when you match him up with, Brian Burns, now they got Abdul Carter. So, he's going to have, he's going to be able to take a break every now and then, because you got the other guy screaming off the corner, hopefully. But his first draft was like, last year's one, a little bit better. This one, I like, it was a pretty good draft. It's just the fact that I don't see John Mara, man, keeping his dude, man. If they're going, they don't won 2 games, into week, 14 or whatever. I just don't see it.
I agree with you.
But here's the narrative, though, right? Let's stick to this place, right? The narrative is that Bigvlueant started was that Dable's got his guy, and Dable's supposed to be the Josh Allen, the quarterback whisperer, right? Okay, and we just looked at a really tough schedule, right? At what point, right, does they give Dable's guy a shot, right? If Russell Wilson, because why do you get Russell Wilson? Why do you get Winston if you're not trying to win, right? You got to try to win, except for when we're looking at their record, we don't know what could happen, right? All of a sudden maybe they win. You know how the NFC East is.
Right.
It's just when are you going to take that shot, right? And I think that so really that's what I want to see, Byron. You're saying that Dart's going to come in week 14,
something like that,
right?
But, okay.
And so let's say he comes in week 14, right, before they fire these guys. Let's say, right. The then would be is how is he performing those last 4 or 5 games? That's going to help them keep their job, right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking at. Now, the other thing is, and then Byron, I want to go back to you and then Santiago. But then the other thing is that I do believe that whoever other than Dart, because Dart's not going to play right off the bat, but the guys that they picked have to be somewhat, acceptable, playable. There's Abdul Carter, the running back, the other linemen, some of the moves they make, if they can play, because what I care about is good football, right? Let's rebuild. Byron, how many times were your name was 1972 awful?
Whole bunch of times.
Okay. That's how many times were Giant fans walking out of the stadium? Okay, so from my perspective, right now we already know there's great NFC East teams right now. For us to catch them, it could either be a miracle, or all of a sudden these guys just wake up and something just changes. You never know, right? It is the NFL, any given Sunday.
But the problem is going to be what it's going to be is that the Giant fans are going to be tired, during the course of the season. If they, and we've talked about, touched on it. If they look ugly during, the course of the season, they're going to get John Mara is going to cave into the pressure because he ain't going to want to hear, 70,000 people, losing
walking
their mind
out
every week and walking out, leaving, the bags on the head and all the other stuff from the 70s that happened. That's what's going to get those two fired. If it's ugly and it's bad, they're done because he's going to cave into pressure with the fans and out the door they go.
Santiago?
Yeah, pretty much it's a do or die season for these for the GM and the coach. When is that week? That schedule looks tough. As Mr. Jones says, I think he might trigger Jackson the Dart sooner. So we'll see.
But it's going to be interesting. Like, what would be the rotation? Because you're going to play Russell, right? Then you have to, hopefully, it's God forbid, but let's say he stays healthy. Then you're going to have to decide to make that move. All right, it's time to pull the plug and throw in Winston, right? Then you're going to give Winston some games. And then there's going to be a time, okay, that's it. Let's get the rookie in, right? And usually rookies like that may not get in until maybe week 8, right? And by that time, we're probably 2-6, 1-7.
I don't think if Russell Wilson's playing bad or whatever issues, I think they're going to go with him, Dart first.
You think they're going to go with Dart over Winston?
Yeah. I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I'm kind of leaning that way too. It depends on what happens during training camp and preseason, but gut feeling is they might just go ahead and lead with Dart.
Yeah. Well, they're saying he's performing really well in practice right now, right? So they're talking high about him and so forth. And this guy knows he's got work to do, right? And I sure they see him talking with Eli. They're from the same school. So, but if it was me, I want Shane fired, like right now. I don't want to wait. I want him out.
Wow.
I don't
Wow.
care. I want him
Okay.
out. I think he's terrible. What he did on Hard Knocks, what he made us. It was the first time I was embarrassed to be a Giant fan in my entire life. I just don't like Shane. I think the way he treated Barkley, the way they treated Daniel Jones, that wasn't indicative of a Giant organization. We were always an organization of respect, we always had a good reputation. They tarnished it last year, right? And they should have never been on Hard Knocks. Right. And look what Barkley ended up doing. Right. And we thought they would have been fired based on what Barkley did. So, all right, let's move. And anyhow, you got a good point. Maybe I'm overthinking just the order of QB1, QB2. Maybe he moves up before Winston. And I just think that's interesting. I don't know what Winston's piece would be on that, but it doesn't really matter at that point. But I do believe, though, in that the draft picks they picked outside of Dart until Dart plays, they need to perform at least decent. You know what I mean? They got to do, like let's hopefully Abdul Carter, let's say that running back, the lineman they picked off, as long as they're playing competitive football, right? They're in the game to win. I think that'll be, that'll make me happy at least. Just not lousy play. All right, let's go.
Wait, one more thing. Then the other thing is why did they load up at tight end? They have Theo Johnson, they got Bellinger, Manhurts, I think that's what his name is, and then Fedone, the kid from Nebraska. They got 4, tight ends. I don't know. Like Bellinger, when I first saw him like a rookie or second year, he looked pretty good. He was going to be the guy. Then all of a sudden he kind of got pushed to the side, and the rookie from Penn State pretty much took his job, and then he got hurt. But it's just weird that they got all these tight ends, and then as far as Gabe Davis, another Buffalo Bill, are we going to sign him, as well? Because they do need him to be like either number 2 or 3 receiver that he would be with the Giants.
Yeah, the reason, and I still don't think it's a good reason because I'm with you. I think Bellinger had a heck of a rookie season, and I think he would have had a really good sophomore season. The thing that ruined that was a tight end named Darren Waller.
Yeah, that guy.
Rapper.
Waller ruined that.
Mm-hmm.
He ruined us because that set him back. That set Bellinger back.
I think he was married to my girl Kelsey Plum from the WNBA, and then they got divorced 2 years later.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And she's still balling out. Like I said, hopefully we could just play some competitive football. Fans aren't walking out and leaving. But again, I don't. I don't think they're going to have a good season. You know what I mean? And I have a feeling they're not going to be fired because just because if they could show some improvement, Mara's going to give them a break. Because if there's a time that should have been fired, was what happened with Barkley and what happened with Daniel Jones. We got nothing for those 2 premier players. No picks, no money, zero for 2 players of that caliber. That's just bad management. Right. So, all right, let's go on. The Cowboys have the most games on Thursday night. Unprecedented, which to me is not so bad because you got to watch it on Prime. So unless you have Prime, you don't have to watch it, right? But they have the most games on Thursday night, which means they'll be the highlight of Thursday night, which is interesting. Cowboys always have that piece, and we'll see what they have here. They picked up, who was the next? They just got up a new receiver, no?
Oh,
George Pickens.
Pickens, right?
Pickens, yeah.
They got Pickens. They listen. Cowboys are the Cowboys, but they always, when Dak is good and so forth, there's always somebody to be worried about, right? They just won't win in the playoff games, but there's somebody to be worried about. They got the most games on Thursday Night Football. What you got the Eagles schedule?
The only thing interesting about the Dallas Cowboys, they have 3 guys on the offensive line named Tyler. Their first name is Tyler.
Yeah, you said that the 3 teams.
I think the whole Pickens and what's their star receiver's name?
CeeDee Lamb.
Thank you. I think Pickens and Lamb. I think that's going to be a problem. I think they're both going to be moaning about targets, and it's. I think that's going to be a mess.
CeeDee Lamb's going to win that one because he's
I agree, but I still think it's going to be a
Dak
mess.
is more comfortable with CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb's getting paid a lot more money, but to speak about that, Pickens had to be that big of a problem for the Steelers to get rid of him so fast because he's only been in the league for a few years.
That's what I'm talking about.
And the Steelers have been known to deal with problematic receivers in the past, like AJ Brown and several of them, right? But to get rid of him this early, he was a problem.
Yeah,
right.
I want to pay him.
Who?
The Steelers pay him, yo.
I don't blame him. Why play him? He's a problem. He had an attitude towards the end of the year. You don't have a quarterback. He's going to be a bigger problem. Got Mason Rudolph, which he'll dominate. So, I mean, you're going to have some issues there. You know what I mean? I think
and the Cowboys also have no running game. If you look at their running back room.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, as far as the Steelers too, I still have a feeling that Aaron Rodgers is going to end up in Pittsburgh.
Well, we're going to talk about that in a little bit because there's some interesting games coming on, right? So they have the Steelers are playing against the Jets, right? And they got the Steelers playing against Green Bay.
Oh, what a coincidence.
So there's got to be, to some degree, some insight on the fact that Rodgers is going to be coming back to these pieces, right? What do you got, Santiago?
That's the Steelers schedule.
All right. So you got the Steelers schedule. So look at the first game.
Week 1.
Game 1 against the Jets.
Then the Seahawks.
At New York.
Yeah.
At New York.
Right? So then look.
Assuming Rodgers will be there.
And where's the Green Bay game?
The
week 8.
Week 8.
October 26th.
Okay. Yep. So they got them playing both teams, and it just smells like Aaron Rodgers is going to be there.
Yeah.
Right. I think they need another receiver because I don't think Metcalf is the sole, you know what I mean? They can't be with one receiver like they were last year. But I think that's what's going to be interesting this year is Aaron Rodgers going back to these places, right? I think Aaron Rodgers is going to play. I don't know what's his issue. And I'm just surprised Tomlin is dealing with that unless he knows something behind the deal because Tomlin's not one of those guys that kind of deal that way. And then TJ Watt was kind of in between what we was doing, but he needs to perform too because he performed poorly, when it counted. So we have that. So who do you have winning the division, Byron?
What, ours? NFC East?
Mm-hmm.
Who else? Come on, the Eagles. As much as I hate saying that, man, the Eagles.
Who won it last year?
Eagles.
Okay, you're betting against 20-something years.
It doesn't matter, man. They're loaded up, man. They got 19 SEC guys, on defense. They got all the Georgia and Alabama guys. The offensive line is intact. So as much as I hate saying it, the Eagles, and I'm not going to say that guy's name, number 26.
Yeah, we'll see.
Kevin Durant.
I think Washington's got a good shot. I think Washington's got a good shot to win the conference.
I agree.
I just think they got the money. They're going to make the trades. They beat the Eagles at the end of the season. And the Eagles seem to always have locker room issues. And, some people that I spoke to that are Phillies don't know how true it is or not. They just say that Jalen Hurts is not really like the leader of leaders when it comes to that locker room. Like, with Saquon Barkley changed the locker room. But as a quarterback, Jalen Hurts is not really kind of like the rah-rah, let's take over, let's do what we got to do kind of player. So I don't know if that, but I always feel something's going on in that locker room. And to me, the best game they played the entire year was the Super Bowl. Yeah, because that's the way they should have played all year.
I'm still not sold on Jalen Hurts. I got to see more. I mean, the thing that saved him, he's had good runs. Yeah, he's had good throws. I think the thing that saves him the most is the tush push. I mean, honestly, I don't think he's that guy. However, we've seen Trent Dilfer win the Super Bowl, and I don't think he was the guy either. So
Brad Johnson, right?
He's
better. He's better than that. I like Jalen Hurts. I think he's good, but if he's not a locker room guy, that's the problem, right? If he's not someone that like can get along well with like his offensive team, that can be a problem. And for years, Byron and I have always said something's wrong inside that locker room because the talent that the Eagles have on paper has always been really good. They just haven't played to that level. The first time I seen them play to that level was in the Super Bowl.
I don't think they're worried about Jalen Hurts in that way, and I'll tell you why. Saquon Barkley is that offensive guy that will step up and be that leader and call guys out when they need to be called out. So in that aspect, I don't think Hurts needs to be that guy.
Yeah, but Jalen Hurts has always been like that. His days at Alabama, he wasn't that rah-rah guy. He went to Oklahoma, he wasn't that rah-rah guy. And then that's just his personality. That's just the way he is.
Well,
and people want to follow people like that. He's not going to disrespect you. He's just going to play his game. But that's just his personality. What I see.
Yeah. Well, I heard he was more than just not a rah-rah guy. That's all. He wasn't a good dude. Right. So now that's hearsay. I can't say it, but I'm just saying there's always something going on in the locker room. We'll go from there. I'm going to pick Washington and win the conference.
Wow.
That's what I'm doing. I'm going with Jalen. I'm Washington. You heard it. It's what 8:49. I'm picking Washington. Why? Because nobody's won it back to back. All right. Let's go.
Okay. Wait a minute. Wait. Okay. Let's start. Okay. Who has the best offensive line in the NFC East? Right now,
Eagles.
The Eagles.
Yeah, Eagles.
Okay. Who has the best defensive line in the NFC East?
Eagles.
I rest my case. Big boy.
Wait a second. That's no. But Washington has a really good defensive line, and they're super young. We just haven't seen them explode. We could say that about Philadelphia because those guys have been playing already for some time.
Yeah,
but the Redskins got a really good defensive line, and they're super young.
They're not. Have you looked at the Eagles, man? You need to really look at some of them guys. Man, them guys are young. The corner, rookie.
You said line. Don't go to corner. You said line.
Jalen Carter, the other Jalen, Davis. They're young on the defensive line, that front.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but last year teams ran on them. Like they said they figured it out. They ran right up the gut. Once they ran up the gut, they were beating them.
They ain't run up the gut on the Eagles like that, man.
Okay.
I don't know what you was watching.
All right. Well, let's see. I'll go back to the tape. Go back to the tape.
Let's go back. Yeah, deny deflect.
Run up the gut on the Eagles. Run up the gut.
They run up the gut, man.
Run up the gut. All right. All right. So then we have, what do you got here? I wouldn't mind getting Gabe Davis. He played for Buffalo. He put up a lot of touchdowns.
I like Gabe Davis.
I like Gabe Davis. He's a Buffalo guy. It just seems like we're bringing everybody from Buffalo over to the Giants. And they still not perform. But everybody who leaves the Giants are performing.
Yeah, right.
The Giants had a good weekend, except for they were all playing for somebody else. All right, Santiago, you got. I said this, Byron, and you didn't believe me. It's the second one. Say it. I was right. Say it, Byron. Come on now.
I don't remember. I don't recall.
Okay. He never remembers. Okay, let me tell you something. Big Blue. But the first thing I said was, and I'm going to repeat it again because I have had Byron even say, all right, Victor was right. He rarely says that over 6 years. Okay. Was you're going to have to start paying the defensive backs because you're paying these receivers way too much money and the defensive backs got to cover them. And that's coming to fruition. The next thing I said is Barkley is bringing back the running back pay. He showed that with a great running back, man, you really have a chance. You have a better chance of winning if you do have a decent running game. There's been the teams that didn't have to have that, but Barkley was proof in the pudding. And with that said, look at how old is Henry?
She 31.
30.
Okay, he's getting paid $15 million a year.
Yeah.
He's already caught Christian
31.
McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey was a couple years ago,
Yeah.
and it was not younger. So they're going to start paying. Look at it. He is the highest paid overback. Look at it. I didn't even read that part. Over 30.
Yeah.
Okay, they're going to start paying the running backs because of what Barkley done. They should be sending Barkley a check or a watch or something, right? Because now, they're now. Hopefully, this kid that we picked up does pretty well. He's got an opportunity to get paid. What do you got here, because I can't see.
There's a list of highest paid running backs, but obviously the list has not been updated with Derrick Henry. But this is the for Derrick.
Yeah, and they're gonna and look at 30-something years old. That's pretty impressive.
Genty already got paid.
Who?
Ashton Genty.
Ashton Genty. I don't
Rookie.
think.
Yeah, he's the rookie running back for the Raiders.
Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, he is. Wow, $35 million.
Yeah. Oh wow.
That's what you get when you're a 6 overall. Was it 6 overall pick?
Yeah. Yep.
And they're playing against the Giants this season.
Yeah, that should be interesting.
Okay, what do you got here? Wait, you got something on my boy Pete Rose? What you got here? Okay, Major League Baseball. Robert Green stated Pete Rose, Shoeless Joe Jackson, and other deceased players who were banned from the sport, opening the door for Hall of Fame. Really?
Pete Rose.
It's almost like they planned that they were going to do that after they passed.
He passed away this past year.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Shoeless Joe Jackson been dead for 50 years or however long it's been.
But they probably did that to have an excuse to have Pete Rose.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, if you're going to do it for Pete Rose, you're going to go back to these other guys, right? Why was Shoeless Joe Jackson banned?
I forget.
Was it 1919 White Sox? I guess they were betting on the game or through the game, the World Series or something.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's terrible.
I wasn't born. I wasn't born then, Victor. So just so you know, I wasn't born in 1919.
I've always had an issue with the Pete Rose thing. I get it, betting's illegal and all that stuff. But my opinion of the whole Pete Rose thing is he would have gotten the Hall of Fame based on what he did on the field and not off the field. Mm-hmm. That's the issue I had with Pete Rose being, banned.
Yeah, and the thing he didn't admit it too early on, right? He should have came out. That's the problem. Once you do that, it starts giving you problems. But I'm glad to see that Shoeless Jackson and Pete Rose has a chance to make the Hall of Fame, and I think Rose will make it right off the bat.
I think so too.
They're saying it's not until 2028 that I guess they can vote for him to go in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna throw this out. What about Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens,
Mark McGuire?
Mark McGuire, Sammy Sosa, Rafael Palmeiro.
Palmeiro's a big one. Mm-hmm.
Sammy Sosa,
Roger
Clemens, Andy Pettit. There's a bunch of them.
Andy Pettit wasn't caught, was he?
Yeah,
I think he told on himself.
Andy Pettit is, from what I understand and what I remember, I could be wrong. Andy Pettit is the one who introduced Roger Clemens to it.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
That I wouldn't have thought of.
Yeah. I mean, because you think about it, Clemens was who he was early in his career. And as he got older, for him to stay that strong, something had to have been involved. Something.
Well, it's not fair, man. They give testosterone now like candy to people that are older.
True.
Right? With the men, it's like your testosterone's low. Here, boom. And they give
makes you wonder what Nolan Ryan was doing.
Exactly. Also, Randy Johnson. There was times he was hurt. He came back really fast.
Yeah.
Right? The recovery on steroids is what helped them, right? Coming here.
The HGH.
I'm sorry?
The HGH, the human growth hormone.
Exactly. All right, Santiago, you got the banner. Pull up what you want to pull up, and we can start going on here.
The Trailblazers are going to be on sale.
For sale?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So.
And he's going to give everything away?
Yeah, all proceeds will be going to philanthropic endeavors. Mm-hmm. And Paul Allen used to be part of Microsoft.
Oh, yeah.
So he's loaded.
He was his partner. We got here a trade for Port Chickens. We already talked about that. What do you got, Santiago?
NBA draft lottery. The Mavericks are at the pick number 1.
So
Cooper Flag predicted.
let's talk about that a little bit. Byron, are you familiar with that one?
Yeah, a little bit.
So let me tell you something. I feel bad for the GM for Dallas because first of all, I was surprised and I was happy. I became a Laker fan as soon as the Nico went there. Keep that up. But you know, did you know that like Nico's family was getting threatened? I mean, they were putting coffins out. I mean, the Dallas fans were super upset with that trade. Now he's looking pretty good because he saved $250 million for the team, right? Nico was exposed. Nico
Harrison.
No, Nico Harrison is the GM, but oh my God, I can't remember his name. The guy he traded.
Malenka?
No.
Anthony Davis?
No, the guy that's playing on the Lakers.
Oh, Luka Doncic.
Luka. Okay, but Lucas, they were showed how much he's exposed without a center, right? Defensively, you know, he's like, you know, Nico was saying, we're going to win on defense. We're not going to here. And then they had a 1% chance to get the number 1 draft pick. They're getting
the fix.
They're getting a lot of people say that. They're getting well, you can say that, but then there's so many times that Cleveland had the number 1 pick and nothing happened until they got LeBron, right? But let me tell you something. This kid's not even 19 yet.
No.
He picked that. He's turning 19. He's a big player. So you got Cooper Flag, you got Klay Thompson, you got Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving, and they got the rest of those teams that fill in. So I just feel bad because, you know, he was thrown under. Everyone was questioning him. His family was getting threatened and so forth. He's looking pretty good right now.
Because the fix was in, man. I'm going to keep saying the fix. The fix.
The fix. All right, let's go. Are you following the Celtics and Knicks? No, that's the wrong one. Byron?
Yeah, a little bit. You know, how is it that the Knicks got blown out the last game and they were missing the Boston Jason Tatum? The other guy.
Yeah, and Porzingis.
And he was sick. You know, he couldn't do whatever. So how did that happen like that? That's all I want to know.
That's the NBA for you, man.
Well, I tell you how it happens. You got another $300 million player that had to stand up. You got a guy, Derek White, that I don't personally dislike him, but I don't like him because the guy always hits these mega shots when he was playing against the Heat. And he stepped up and they started driving, penetrating. They exposed Brunson by defending him hard, not letting him go. I mean, they played the right game. Let me tell you, that coach is pretty good.
Yeah, Thibodeau got out coached.
Yeah, that coach is good. The only thing I didn't like about it, because think about it, right now it should be what is it? It's 3-2, right?
Yeah,
okay. It really should be 3-2 Celtics because that first game, they missed 43 pointers and lost by 3 points, Byron.
Yeah.
40.
Stop taking all those 3-pointers.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. Like, why? And then you got Jason Tatum that was, you know, he's 6'8" playing against a 6'2" Brunson, and you're not penetrating.
Yeah,
you got 6 inches over the guy. Why are you shooting threes? But they felt they just wanted to stay to the game. But the guy who won, who's the new center that came in?
Not Carl Anthony Towns. Oh, for
no, for the Celtics.
Oh, what's his name?
Pritchard?
He scored like 10 points.
Now Pritchard's
Cornette.
Yeah.
Luke Cornette, that guy, did you see him play? He had 7 blocks. I mean, he played tough.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know who that guy was. And
the Knicks' whole game was weak. I'm a diehard Knicks fan, and I was so disappointed. Listen, my thing is, I think the Knicks could have won that game. The issue is they went in there, you know, lighthearted. When that second half came out, like there was the heart of that team just dropped right out. They did nothing. I can't tell you how many F-bombs I dropped in that second half.
But let me tell you what I thought, Blueant. I think that maybe the Knicks are being put in a position that it's almost like when their back's against a wall, that's when they start really playing. Because by halftime in almost every game, they were losing by 10, 15, 20 points.
Yeah.
Okay? This game, it was tight. If not, I think they were winning by 2 at half.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, so now they were in a position maybe of feeling, okay, man, we were losing by 20 something. We won every single time. Maybe they relaxed because they were so used to having to come back at the end.
I'm going to use Byron's quote. The fix was in. Now the NBA is going to make a ton of money in New York tomorrow night.
Oh, New York.
The sales of those suits, that place is going to be crazy.
I would love to be at that game. But I think that the Celtics had a great game plan. Mm-hmm. I would not play Porzingis because he's done nothing in this entire series. I think that,
he was sick. He was sick. He was ill. He wasn't feeling well.
I don't care whether he's sick or not sick. He stinks. So don't play him. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're up there and you're not feeling well, it's fine, but don't play him. Get up and get him out. That other guy, Komet, he played. And remember, that guy's playing for a reason. He's playing for a contract.
100%.
Hauser was back last night too, and he hit a couple of big threes.
Who's this?
Sam Hauser.
Oh yeah, right. But what? And Pritchard played played well.
Very well.
That's what hurt the Lakers. That Austin Reeves disappeared in the playoffs. Yeah. Right? He was like their number 3. They had the big 3, and then they went down to big 2, and you can't go from 3 to 2 in the playoffs. But I will tell you that Komet guy is playing for a contract, and there's a lot of teams needing a center.
Yeah.
Right. And he showed that he has a little oomph in him. He had defense. He they did a good job. So, I think the Knicks are going to win because I don't think Celtics have it to beat them twice. But it would be nice if the Knicks win it on their home court because if they go back to Boston 3-3, that could be dangerous.
I think if they go back to Boston, that I think the Celtics are winning this.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, the Celtics seem to play better away. Because what they were saying is like when they were at Boston, it was like the crowd was like every time they put the ball shot up, it was like is it going to go in? Because they were missing so many shots. You know what I mean? So it's almost like, and they were saying like Phil Jackson said that like he preferred playing away games in the playoffs, right? Because the crowd, once you silence the crowd, you can control it. It's like the team loosens up. Right.
I mean, that's evident of this year's NBA playoffs. I mean, the majority of the wins have been on the opponent's, home court. The away teams have been winning way more games this year.
Which makes sense, which is what, Jackson was saying is that, he'd rather play away because it just changes the difference. Knicks have a chance to close out. They also, historically, the Knicks aren't good closeout teams.
No.
Like they usually have a hard time closing it out when they can, right? Doesn't mean they can't win the 7th game because technically, you're closing it out, but it's the last game. So it's really either win or go home. Closing out to me is when you win in the 6th game or the 5th game, you know what I mean? Or the 4th game, right? If you're 3-0, you're 3-1, you're 3-2. That's a closeout game. This one is if you get to the 7th game and you're going back to Boston, man, that is crazy. And the sad part with Jason Tatum, he wasn't even hit.
Yeah, no, it was all on his own.
It was all just on his own, and
a bad step.
And he was about to put up 50 points.
No contact injury.
He was on fire.
Yeah, he definitely was.
He was on fire. And then, let me tell you something. Going back to my Heat, though, Riley ain't looking so bad now. Butler didn't deliver, right? They were all talking, how's Riley doing? Well, Butler got paid $120 million. He's making $60 million a year for those guys and didn't deliver. He took 13 shots or something in a game, a must-win game. Like they just needed one game to win so Curry could come back.
Yeah.
And I told you something. I go, those Timberwolves got talent, but they miss a lot of shots. Like their shooting percentage is horrible, and they haven't played anybody of any caliber yet. right?
Not even the Clippers.
I'm sorry.
No, who they played the first round? Was it Clippers?
No. Was it the Clippers? I'm not sure.
Oh, it's okay.
No, the Clippers. Yeah. The Clippers. That's another one with James Harden. He's depressing in the playoffs. I mean, he's depressing. He's terrible in the playoffs, Byron.
He's not a Game 7 guy.
He's not a playoff guy. Forget about Game 7. He's just not a playoff guy.
No.
Like he loses himself. He just tries to. He doesn't score, right? Kawhi was on his way back. That's all you really needed, but you needed someone else to give him some help. What else you got here? You got the Thunder and the Nuggets. And what's that? 3-1? What's the?
Yeah. No, it's 3. No, it's 3-2. My bad. Yeah,
3-2.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Thunder should take care of him.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be.
I think that's going to be over. Yeah, I don't think that's an issue. Any thoughts on where you think Giannis is going to go? Some say that they think he can go to Knicks.
I think he's going to end up on the Spurs.
Yeah, that's one of the teams they favorited.
Yeah.
Really?
Teaming him up with Wembanyama.
Yeah.
That's going to be tough.
But who would play center?
What's that?
Who would play center?
The young kid.
And
he'd be a power forward.
And wow, he'd be a power forward?
Mm-hmm.
And no pop.
That would be a powerful I'd like to see him on the Heat.
he ain't going there.
Nah, he's not going there. Well, Riley's going to make some moves, okay? All righty. So what else we got there with Santiago, the NFL? And the other thing is, any last comments on Shedeur? And what are your thoughts on Shedeur, Bigvlueant?
My whole thing is I'm one of the people that wanted Shedeur. I'm not upset with Jackson Dart, but I wanted Shedeur. I think the biggest problem is people are so quick to jump to conclusions. Like all these stories that come out, you believe what you want to believe. My belief is that the fact that more than just 2-3 teams passed up on him a few times said that there's something there. What? I have no idea. I'm not going to put anything behind it. I just think there was something there that turned teams away.
Well,
I feel bad for him. I think he's going to have a good career. I just, I'm not going to be one of those people that's just like, oh, well, this happened and this happened. Nothing's come out completely.
Well, now he's got something to prove, right? I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
Now humility's he's got to work really hard, and he's got to prove everybody wrong. And Brady and him, Brady mentors him, and he's telling him the same thing. Brady was picked lower than him,
right?
199.
Yep.
What's that? 199.
199. Last pick in the draft.
Mm-hmm. And Alex, I see Alex on there. Hey, Alex.
Hey.
What's up, Alex?
Long time no talk. Sorry, I work on Thursdays, 9 o'clock, so right at show end, and I couldn't get on for the draft, but happy to hear.
So real quick, you saw the schedule came out. You see how tough the Giants' schedule is, right? So yes. I'm going to ask you a few questions before we close out. What do you think their record's going to be? Have you seen the schedule?
I did see it last night.
Okay, what do you think their record's going to be? 1.
I said 9-8. I'm delusional. I'm being optimistic. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. 9-8.
Don't drive and drink. Okay,
it's going to be really rough at the beginning, which is what is going to be very interesting about it. I think the back end of the schedule is not as tough as people think it is.
It isn't, but you still got to go through a couple more teams. But 9-8, let me tell you something.
Well, that's what it's going to be. They're going to be like 2-6 at the halfway point, and then when I looked at it, my first thought was they're closing out 4 straight, in my opinion. Now, usually my predictions have never been right on this show for schedule release day, but
all right, 9-8. You're the minority in this group here.
I would.
So that's number 1, and then number 2 is at what game will Shane and Dable be fired?
They go 9-8. They ain't going nowhere.
Well, they're going 2-6.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. You're breaking up.
Season,
man.
I'm on the highway.
Your Kool-Aid is interfering. Your Kool-Aid's interfering with the sound.
Yeah.
And when do you think?
95 at night, I guess.
when? Okay, a little better now. When do you think Dart plays?
I hope not at all this year, but if everyone's going to get pressured, probably like week 12 or 13.
Ah, Byron.
They got
Listen to the show.
Why do you need to play Jackson Dart is a project from what I understand, so don't play him if you don't need to. It's a lost season. As I say, they're going to go 9-8.
Right.
I'll tell you what, if they go 9-8, I think Dayball and Shane are going to get contract extensions.
Wow.
Well, that's assuming they make it that far. It could be the interim bump.
True.
Man, they go 9-8. They go 9-8. I'm gonna run butt naked around MetLife Stadium.
Oh, record that. It's at 9 at the end of the show, 9:12. Write that down, Santiago.
If they go
9. It's
I'm
at
gonna run around the whole
9
stadium
p.m.
butt naked.
9:12. Go to the recording. I want that clip cut, and we're gonna post that everywhere.
Hey, don't forget Paul
I'm
Pierce.
gonna run around naked if they go 9-8. That's it.
Don't forget Paul Pierce just walked to work the other day.
They did, yeah.
I ain't walking no 20 miles.
What's that about? What's Paul Pierce walking to work? What was that?
So Paul Pierce made a basically said on TV that he guaranteed that the Knicks would not win 2 straight against Boston, and when they won, he actually held up his end of the bargain. He walked to work.
How far was that?
20 miles.
20 miles.
He did I think 30-some thousand steps. He posted his tracker that day.
However, he did say he'd do it barefooted, but I don't think he did.
I don't believe he did that. No,
I don't think he would do. I don't do that. Paul Pierce, that's amazing. All right,
I'm just feeling optimistic about the schedule, which generally that's how it sort of is looking at it. And I know that this team is going through some, but I don't know. I liked a lot of the pieces the Giants have done to at least try to right the ship here. I'm not thinking they'll win the division, but I don't know. 9-8 feels reasonable as much as we're like, oh God, this is a hard schedule. You know what? Let's do it.
Kool-Aid's kicking in again. Okay, last question. Who wins the conference?
Conference or division?
The NFC?
The division.
NFC East.
I'm going to say Eagles.
Okay.
I
picked Washington.
I think the Commanders will be in the conversation, but I think Eagles.
I picked Washington,
but it
just
would
to go
be
with,
very
just go with the fact that
East
nobody's won it twice in 2 years, in 20 years,
in over 20 years. Yeah.
So
that is true. Every year I'm like, oh, the Cowboys are going to do it. Nope, Cowboys did not. I think the Eagles are going to finally buck the trend.
Mm-hmm. That's what Byron says as he's starting to become a trader, but we understand.
Trader.
All right. So, well, welcome. We're going to start wrapping up the show. Alex, thanks for joining us on Bigvlueant. What do you got going on? I hear you got some show coming on later in the day. How can people get a hold of you?
So, any social media network, just look for Bigvlueant 72, one word. And my show will be coming back pretty much right before the season starts. Look for Extreme Blue, XTREAM Blue. I'll be doing a podcast just like this on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitch, I believe. I might even put it on X. But yeah, I mean, check me out. I do another show with a gentleman called Sneaky G-Man. I don't know if anybody's seen him. He's a Giants fan that lives in Dallas.
Wow.
Great guy.
That's why he's sneaky.
Yeah, Sneaky G-Man.
That's Victor's type.
But yeah, I mean, I'm just having fun with this, man. I'm a diehard New York fan, Giants, Yankees, Knicks, and Rangers. I talk about all the teams, and I just love to do it. It's a great hobby, and my wife's always, hey, can you make some money out of it? Who knows? I'm just having fun.
That's what every wife's question is. Well, welcome to the show. Hope you had a good time. Really appreciate you joining us. Santiago, thanks for helping and hosting us. Alex, thanks for coming on. Byron, as always, you're the best. You're the Iron Man of the show. Don't forget, every Thursday live on Facebook and YouTube. and your streaming podcast at 8 p.m. on Thursdays. Everybody asks us for 6 years. What time is it again? 8 p.m. on Thursdays. Please hit the smash the like button so you can hear our show. You can hear also multiple shows. Santiago, you want to talk about a little bit about some of the other shows you got on our channel?
Yeah, so we have the Donut Bag by Joey Bag of Donuts. He's on Monday or Tuesday nights. Now he's doing the Steelers show and also the Penguins show, but I think they're out. The Penguins, or there might be in. I can't remember. And then I got my show on Monday and Friday. Tomorrow we got Ray Sherrod. He's going to talk about the 49ers and how bad they offloaded a lot of people and see, which they have one of the easiest schedules, I think. But we'll see what happens. But yeah. And then of course, the best show of the week, Jersey Boys.
Is going to be.
What was that?
I want to see Brock Purdy's contract.
Yeah. The contract has not happened yet.
Yeah, something's gonna happen there. All right, well, gentlemen, thank you for your show. God bless, and we will talk soon next Thursday. Signing out, Jersey Boys. Peace.
What time, Byron?
8 p.m. baby.
There you go. 8 right there.
Read all those fingers. By the way, do you see Byron's picture all dressed up and dapper, looking good?
His Armani suit.
There you go. Take care.
That's right.